In Conversation with Terry Shepard, award-winning broadcaster, narrator, and author. A deep dive into the writer's craft with the artists and support systems who create the stories we love.
Thanks, Lisa. Mary Elizabeth Jackson was told she might never have children. She gave birth to 3 of them, 2 who came into the world with special needs. Inspired by advocacy, she wrote Perfectly Me, a book about acceptance and self-esteem with music by Thornton Klein. It's now available through Norm's Triad Publications and on Amazon. Mary Elizabeth Jackson joins us to talk about the joys and challenges of parenthood with unexpected dimensions.
So I'm really, really excited, Terry, to be here. Thank you so much. I always love spending time with you, and we have a great friendship, and we always have a lot of fun. And Perfectly Me it's like second generation, let's call it that. It's a rebirth of a book that is very near and dear to my heart. In 2013, I had a son very late in life, and we didn't know if he was going to survive the birth and if I was going to survive after the birth. And so about 5 months into his life, I was sitting there in this space. I was nursing, and I was feeling probably some of the most powerful gratitude I've ever felt in my entire life, that like, we're here, we're going to be okay, you know? And in that moment of gratitude, there was like this divine download of this story. Now, I'd always written poetry up to that point, and I had wanted to be an author, but I never knew it was going to come in the way it did. And so I wrote it down, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is so cute. I love this. And, but it didn't come from me, and it was inspired by my son. So, it comes from a powerful place. But when I looked at him, the word poolicious came to me. And of course, there's been some pushback with that word, but Dr. Seuss, I love Dr. Seuss, and he says silly words all the time, right? And so poolicious to me was a silly word, but it also meant the innocence of childhood, babyhood. It was that precious moment with your child. And so that was 2013. I sat on it for 2 years, and I kept getting this nudging. I needed to do something with this story, but I didn't know what, because I was just a mom, right? And I thought, well, I'll just save it for my children. But this nudging kept continually happening for me. So I went to someone who I knew was published. And this is how naive I was, Terry, at the time. This person was academically published. And genres for publishing are sort of like genres for music. They have their own planets, right? And so he said, well, I don't know how to help you, but I'm going to introduce you to somebody. So he introduced me to Thornton Klein. And we hit it off immediately. And he looked at everything I had written at that time, because it was sort of like, as soon as I wrote that story, all this stuff just started coming out. Like I couldn't stop writing, and like I had to have a notebook with me all the time, and everything that was coming out was rhyming and children's stuff and baby stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is happening to me? It was really crazy, but amazing. And he said, I love this story here. Can I write 10 songs for it? So I was like, sure, why not? Because I, didn't know what I was doing. Thought, hey, that's kind of cool. And he wrote 10 songs like within a week. And I remember he came to my house, and the OT therapist was here with my son. And we were in the living room. I had a keyboard, and he started playing the music for me. And I cried. It was like, this is so perfect. It just went right with the story of the innocence and sweetness of babies and childhood, And so a neighbor of mine who's a great artist did all the illustrations. 2016, we got a contract. 2017, it came out. And 3 months later, it won the Gold Maxi Literary Award, which was like, wow, for a first-time book coming out, that's amazing, right? And it's had a very bumpy road since then. It's on third publisher, because we lost our publisher last summer suddenly. But with our new publisher, they wanted to do a revamping. And so it's been a readjusting for me as well. So we're Perfectly Me, and it's book 1 of the Inspired Kids series. And I love that, because that's really important to me, to inspire kids. And there's a I am page, and there are 3 books in this series. There are I am pages in each of these books. And it's all about I am love, I am joy, I'm wonderful, I'm amazing, I'm one of a kind. Because we want to get kids started on positive language early in life, as early as we can, right?
What is the key takeaway from Perfectly Me?
That I'm perfectly made no matter how I come into this world. I'm loved. My mommy looks at me and sees past whatever the world says is not okay with me or broken, or that I am, it's about it's about resiliency, and it's about the silver lining in our lives and how we come into this world, because your child can come in with a disability and the world thinks they're broken, and you're like, no, my kid's not broken. My kid just has this thing going on, and I'm not going to teach my kid to live by this. I'm going to teach my kid they're amazing and that they can overcome anything they set their mind to that's possible.
You've intimated that this is a new and improved edition of the original Poolicious story. What's different, and what have you learned along the way since it first came out?
I've learned to be flexible. I've learned to be allowing, and I've learned to, as a creator, any creators that are out there, I think when we create something, as soon as we're done creating it, we already want it out in the world, right? We're very impatient, but we also hope people get where we're coming from. And we have to have patience and allowance that other people aren't always going to see the vision the way we see it. But sometimes they've got another puzzle piece for you that brings that vision to another level that you have. And so that's been my experience with this. And we changed some of the words in the book. The title is new. The font's new. The cover's totally new. The thing that's the same on the cover of the book is it's my baby. It's Carson. He's not a baby anymore, but it's his face. Otherwise, everything else about it is new.
What is the secret of unconditional love?
Oh, the secret would be being able to do it, right? Because not everybody understands what unconditional love is. Not everybody can see that. I mean, we have countries in the world that when a child's born with a challenge or disability, they're put in a back room or killed. But that is definitely not unconditional love. It's the complete opposite of it. That's judgment and unacceptance. So I think the key to it, the secret to it, is actually being able to execute it.
How did you learn how to do that with Carson?
Well, he was my baby. I had no choice. There was no other option for me. I started to look for what were all the positives of the situation that we were faced with him. How can we empower ourselves so that he's successful and we're successful? And how can I help him help himself?
You didn't expect any of this.
No.
How did you come to terms with it?
There's a process. There is for any parent. There is guilt, there is grief, sadness, anger, frustration, disappointment. There's all of that goes along, I think, with, and that's me being full on honest, right? Because you wonder, what did you do when your baby was in utero that created the issues that your child has? Is it just genetic? Is it, were you bad? I mean, you have all these thoughts that run through your mind. And so I had to, like anyone else, go through that whole process of that. And you, I think, need to go through that, but you can't stay there and you can't be stuck, because then you're no use to yourself or your child. And then you have to, I was raising 2 other children, and I had one other one that was on the spectrum, so that she had needs as well. So it's interesting in my life when things have come up, and we were in the middle, when my son was born, we were in the middle of a lawsuit over my middle daughter being abused in her special ed classroom. So talk about stress at that time. Some days I go, I don't even know how I got here, how I got through all of it, but I do know how I got through all of it. And I'm grateful to be here on this side, but that was an incredible amount of stress to be going through. I was on the stand testifying in defense of my daughter when I was pregnant with him, my son, and I was supposed to be on bed rest because he had stopped growing. So as I sat on that stand, I was praying to God not to lose him and for justice for my child. That is not a place a mother usually finds herself, right? So during that time, And especially when the decision was handed down about the case, I lost faith in everything. And I was raised in a Christian home, believed in God my whole life, but I lost everything, you know. And I was sitting there with this baby, newborn baby, trying to recover, and justice was not served for my child. And it was so surreal. Like, how could I even pick myself up and keep moving? How could I not rage as a mother over injustice? How could I move forward? And in my life in particular, the situations that have presented themselves that I have gone through, I've had about 5 minutes to spend time in that place. And then I have to pick up myself and I have to move forward because I have someone else I have to take care of. I couldn't stop being a mother. I couldn't wallow in this because I had a baby, a newborn baby that needed me and 2 other children that needed me. And so I think you go into autopilot when certain things happen in your life, but you also have to give yourself room to process what's happening for you. And if it's happened to a family member. I mean, anytime a child is injured or our child is hurt at the hands of someone else is a very surreal moment in a human being's life, because you never imagine it's going to happen to your child. And you never imagine you're going to have a child born with needs, because we get pregnant, and then it's all the things that go with pregnancy, and the looking forward to this beautiful, healthy baby being born, because that's what everyone wishes for, right? And then when you're presented with something different, then you're like, you have to rethink everything, Terry, don't you? Your belief systems, how am I going to do this? I don't know what I'm doing, kind of thing. So in my life, I feel like my son came in at the time he did because he was the puzzle piece to our family that healed our family and gave me back my belief system. So my belief in God and my belief in things is more powerful than it ever was before. But I had to go to the depths to get there, I had to go to a place I never imagined I would. And he's a miracle. I'm a miracle for getting through it.
Not everyone can navigate life with a special needs child. How did you figure it out?
Well, gosh, since the situation's so kind of there's parts of it that are unique, because not everybody goes through that with having a child, one of their children at the hands of others being hurt. What I did for myself was I knew my children needed me. So I had to learn how to be a special needs mom. And one of the ways that I did that was I went and got certified as an advocate through Vanderbilt. I went through a program and to learn law and to learn what my rights were, what my children's rights were. And so what I did was I threw myself into that in order to, there had to be a positive that came out of the situation with my daughter and even my son. There needed to be positives for me. That was for me personally. I needed positives. So that gave me purpose. And that's how I pulled myself through, because I pivoted my focus from being, we have to get out of that victim place, right? For our child and for ourselves. So I had to pivot away from that, and that I'm not a victim in this life, but I'm going to learn from all of this. And I'm going to pivot toward educating myself, doing what my child needs, making sure they have everything that they need to be the most successful they can be in this life. And educating myself, and then turning around and using all of that to help others. And that's what got me through, Terry, was that purpose. I even, during that time, spent time with senators and representatives trying to change law in this state, because I was like, this should never happen to another child. And I know I'm referring back to my daughter, but to make life better for even kids like my son. So that's what pulled me out, I do believe.
What do you hope the impact of Perfectly Me will be?
Well, since it's not a book I ever felt like I had a choice to give up on, because where it comes from, the origin of it and what it means, what I hope it will do is bring joy to those who have the book and families. It's a perfect first reader also for children. So them reading a book saying, my mommy thinks I'm perfectly made just the way I am. And, my cheeks are chubby because they're full of mommy's kisses, and it's very sweet, and it's meant to be sweet and innocent. And I hope that what they'll take from that, and even parents, is some sacred time of reading, more intimate time of reading, and that feeling of unconditional love. And then learning those powerful I am statements so that a child can stand on their own and say, I am, I am me, I am who I am. I'm not what you say I am who I am. And that's okay, just how I came into this world.
There are other stories to be told in the Inspired Kids series. Will we hear more from Mary Elizabeth Jackson?
Yes, there's 2 more. And they kind of grow up with the little guy. They grow up with him. And the next one is moving into all the things that a child can do when they're learning to crawl and sit up and stand and that kind of thing. And then the third one is more into kindergarten, first, second, third, that kind of thing. And it's more about all the things they do at that age, and that, what, they're okay. They're okay doing that. I wear my tags outside. My shoes are crooked. I have a big ear. It doesn't matter. I'm still okay. So it's still that message, teaching a child that they are okay.
The book is Perfectly Me, the first in the Inspired Kids series, written by Mary Elizabeth Jackson. Music by Thornton Klein, published by Norm's Triad Publications, and available at Amazon.
In Conversation with Terry Shepard is a copyrighted presentation. All rights reserved. I'm Lisa Davis. Join Terry Shepard next time in Conversation.